third day of week number 1 here at the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the European region. Our match of the day is coming up. Every single day we're going to be highlighting one particular match that we find to be exceptional beyond the normal exceptional play that we have here. And it's Orange versus Hunterace. Orange seeking his first win here and the first win with Hunter in a series. And he has to take on the reigning world champion in the second match after a really tough series yesterday.
Yeah, he really does have his work cut out for him. And like you said, this is not only a kind of redemption story for the Hunter Bring, which has been doing pretty miserably so far for Orange and Boar Control. It's also an interesting relationship just between these two players, where Hunterace, despite being probably the strongest Hearthstone player full stop at the moment, arguably of all time, when he was first getting into his competitive foray in Hearthstone, Orange kind of took him under his wing, was really one of the first players to start practicing with him, showing him the ropes of how to deal with emotions when you're on stage, and just preparing in general for tournament play. But now, obviously, arguably, it's switched around, where Hunterace is the absolute top dog, the student becoming the teacher, if you will, in this relationship.
Orange, a very storied history when it comes to competitive Hearthstone, and Hunterace, this is really his big year that he's had as reigning world champion. A fantastic performance this year. Let's get to know these two players just a little bit better.
My name is John Westberg. In-game, I'm Orange, and I have a Twitter at ages_orange. My personal goal for this year is to try and make the global finals. It's a pretty big goal, but I'm very committed to Hearthstone, and I probably play more hours than most people, I would say. But this year, I'm going to be even more organized about it and spend my time even more efficiently. So the beautiful thing about my playstyle is that mid-range decks are usually such a hard deck to target. If you're a control expert or an aggro expert, that's something quite exploitable for other decks, but mid-range decks is the deck that adapts to the other playstyles. And I'm really not as worried as if I would be an expert on any other archetype. What I'm looking forward to most about the Grandmaster experience is definitely that I get to compete against the best of the best, and I want to prove myself that I am up there as well. My biggest rival in this division is definitely Hunterace. He just came off his Worlds win, but yet he has never ever beaten me in a tournament match. And someone's really got to bring that kid back to earth. And I guess it's no one better than me to do it.
My name is Casper. My alias is Hunterace, and my social media tag is NVD_Hunterace. Personally, right now I reached like my ultimate goal for this year. So for next year, I'm striving towards becoming a better social media person. I wanna reach the top of Twitter and try to like make myself cooler. You know, I really like both handball and soccer. Football. Don't take soccer. It's football. It's football. Yes, football. Too many Americans. I believe that EU is the strongest region, so only competing against the EU players to start with, it's going to be super hard to be like one of the standout performers and then qualify to the global finals. I would have to stay at my best to be able to qualify. Alright, so Orange has been a long-time friend of mine in the Hearthstone community. He was one of the first pros that actually approached me and get in touch with me. And we built a pretty cool relationship. He's been very helpful this past year when I had a lot of success. I appreciate that a lot from him. But I think in the Grandmaster tournament, he's going to be defeated by me and probably my easiest opponent. He will probably say that he's better than me, which he is clearly not. So I'll do everything in my power to beat Orange. That's really what it's all about.
Unrivaled friendly banter from these two. When we were at Worlds and everyone was hanging out together, I think I heard the two of them talk more weird, elaborate trash to each other than just about any other two players that were there.
Yeah, they really do like giving it all that to each other. They are two of the closest friends, I think, in Hearthstone, inseparable in both preparing for tournaments and hanging out, like you said, whilst they are there at the tournaments. But they also both love winning, and unfortunately only one of them can win in this series. So while they are very friendly, it's still going to be fighting tooth and nail to get the victory here.
Indeed it is. So let's take a look at the deck list and delve a little bit deeper and talk about what's going to be happening in this match. Orange has brought Hunter. It is his favorite class. And one of the things that I realized as I was playing against this Hunter deck piloting Rogues is that Vicious Scalehide and Dire Frenzy is a heck of a combo against you.
It really is. It both gets you the healing you need to obviously outlast their burst damage, but also a lot of the board control. The fact that it has that rush means that a 2-mana, 4-damage minion that can rush in and kill off pretty much anything they're putting down early on is absolutely instrumental. And one of the other instrumental cards, as you can see there in the key cards, Rat Trap is one of the best cards that you can find in the early game against Rogue.
Certainly helps keep them at bay, and you may notice that handy-dandy QR code in the top right of these. You can copy that. That is an active functioning QR code. You can just scan it, boom, got the deck list right there. Looking at Hunterace's pretty streamlined deck with a tech choice that I have really enjoyed playing with Rogue. The Bloodsail Corsair to fetch from a raiding party.
Yes, it's an interesting evolution in the deck where first of all, people were starting to take out both deck hands for both Bloodsail Corsairs. Then people started going 1-1, and then now people are taking out Captain Greenskin, which we're seeing in some of the lists, as here with Hunterace taking that card out in favor of a Bloodsail Corsair. Obviously, that's going to be helping your matchup in the mirror, where you can destroy the last hit of their Waggle Pick and hopefully bounce back an important minion for them. But against Hunter, obviously, it's just going to be a 1-mana 1/2, which is a little underwhelming.
Indeed. Risk versus reward. Always got to take it into account. So game number 1 is underway. Orange, I imagine looking for ways really to just stifle pressure in the early game. It's pretty tough for Hunter, I think, in the face of what Rogue brings to the table with removal to get early pressure going. I think you're mostly looking to take advantage of counter pressure and leverage your opponent's minions against them the way that Rogue often does to minions.
How so?
When your opponent develops, you like to use your cards to swing that board back.
Unleash the Hounds.
And keep that tempo bouncing back and forth. You know, you think about Unleash the Beast, that's one of the clunkiest, but I think one of the most valuable and easy cards to start bouncing those turns back and forth with.
I fully agree. I think that Hunter, at the moment, mid-range Beast Hunter is kind of it would be an awkward string of combos where the cards need to come together to function effectively. Obviously, I'm talking about Vicious Scalehide plus Dire Frenzy. They need to go together to be very powerful. Unleash the Hounds plus Timberwolf. They need to come together to reach maximum power. And the string that ties it all together is Master's Call. Being able to consistently find those beasts to combo their effects together is really what allows you to play those somewhat awkward combos in this deck, because you hit them so much more reliably.
And the oft-considered play that I have with turn 1 South Sea deckhands, so many matchups I'm tempted to play this on turn 1. I have come to realize that Hunter is just about the only one I actually do that against anymore.
Yes, when you're on the coin. When I'm going first, I will play South Sea deckhand a lot of the time, because obviously against Mage, if they're going to coin it and ping it on turn 1, I'm very happy that they've just used the coin to ping it down. Against the Rogue, if they coin Dagger, I'm very happy. But I agree with you, when you're going second, the South Sea deckhand, you really generally do want to be second. As for Hunterace here, yes, it was taken care of, but that's a Scalehide that can now just be pretty easily dealt with and will not allow for Dire Frenzy to be played.
I'm quite surprised by the SI7 agent here over the raiding party. I guess the major thing to consider is that if you coin the raiding party, what's going to happen is, yes, you'll have backstab an SI7 agent in the face of an animal companion.
Yeah.
But then the Vicious Scalehide lives. It opens the opportunity for your opponent to have a Dire Frenzy on curve. You'll expended your mana. If you go with the SI7 agent, it's very often that you'll have to use backstab an SI7 agent to clear out the animal companion. But only in one of those scenarios do you have to use the backstab, and does the SI7 agent die?
It was interesting. I mean, I was also just looking at Dagger on this turn, or on that turn. You didn't have to get the body into play. But I think the thinking behind this is because he found the second raiding party, we could very possibly just see unactivated raiding party on turn 3, and then one drop that he gets off of the raiding party plus the second raiding party to find the weapon. Yeah, it's like a pretty good couple of turns.
It's an investment into the tempo of the game. You're trying to neutralize what Orange can take advantage of, and at the same time get your own game plan flowing. When Orange doesn't have Animal Companion, I think it's very likely that the SI7 agent just starts punching through for a sizable amount of damage.
Whoa. Lots of powerful cards here for Hunterace. Just needs the combo effects to tie it all together.
Hunterace is overwhelmed with possibilities on this turn. I definitely have been in this situation a number of times with Rogue, and I have foregone a raiding party simply to prepare for future turns, and I have often regret it. And every time I get back into the situation, I'm confronted with the same issue. And I usually have not gone for it, and I keep regretting it, and I have not learned from that lesson yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, by that metric, neither has Hunterace.
I think it's just that there's so much more possibility, and you're also looking at like something crazy. Backstab your own minion, evil miscreant gets a 1/5 into play, which 1/5 is quite a big stat line versus Hunter.
It's just a weird position. This is honestly, even if I fully trust Hunterace to make the right play, this is definitely not the series of plays I would have made. I would not have coined SI7 agent there.
I feel like all of his plays are good, and they just all mean different things. And so for this one, he is paying heed to the fact that, you know what, if I don't cast this raiding party now, when am I playing it?
Fair enough. And again, it really sings to the flexibility of a lot of the decks at the moment. Mage and Rogue in particular, I would say, are very much subject to individual playstyles.
I'm starting to look at those two decks more and more, as well as the two decks right now that have explosive potential, where Rogue delivers it in damage and Mage delivers it in Conjurer's Calling with big swing turns onto the board. If decks are going to match that, they're going to need to come correct with ways to either fight against that effectively or to try to outmatch them. Like maybe you have a timing turn where you do something the turn before they have their pop-off and you threaten them.
Which is what we saw from Ball Control in the game where he won against Kalento. Even though Kalento was able to go for Giant plus Conjurer's Calling turns, Ball Control was able to preload the board with those buffed up minions from Dire Frenzy in the game that he did win.
Oh boy.
Now we're talking.
That is a huge draw.
And this turn seems a little bit easier.
Is 3 extra mana good?
Hunterace here. Yeah, you just played 0 mana for 3 cards.
Yeah, I think Orange is he's in for a big hurt here.
The Waggle pick played so quickly it froze in space and time.
Just hovering there, it's like, hey, remember me?
You're definitely going to want to play me this turn, trust me, mate.
Interesting that Hunterace has not immediately played the Dread Corsair. Is he considering saving that for combo activations?
Combo activations, I guess. Or Unleash the Hounds as well is kind of a consideration, but yeah, not really all too much at this point.
I mean, 3/3 versus 1/1.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. Not all too much of a consideration.
He is at least considering saving it.
I think, you know, if he had Edwin in hand, he'd be much more likely to save it to go for a huge Edwin swing turn. But just getting it out here, getting the damage through as quick as possible, makes a good amount of sense. And here we see him again, utilizing his cards aggressively to get board control and push damage. Coin SI7 rather than hero power. Backstab instead of trading.
Look, that's actually like kind of crazy that it pans out that way, because Baited Arrow, not that it would swing the game back here, but if you trade instead, the Baited Arrow from the Shimmerfly activates the Baited Arrow in that regard.
It very likely would not have shaken out that way, because if the Shimmerfly hadn't died, obviously Orange wouldn't know that he'd get a Baited Arrow until it died, and therefore he probably would have gone for Dire Frenzy first anyway.
I'm just saying in that specific circumstance.
Yes.
Because you have Dire Frenzy scale height. I imagine you're...
Oh, so if you traded the SI7. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if Hunterace just goes face, and then you run the Shimmerfly into a 3/3, and you go, oh, hey, Baited Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was going to be very hesitant to ever trade there. It was more just whether or not he backstabs to clear it off. Because he wants that damage through to face. His deck, again, very stripped down in terms of the late game, tops out at Zilliax. Just going with the full-in burst.
Yeah.
Now.
I think Orange is in a heap of trouble here.
Who to shoot?
So obviously we can set up, Orange can try and set up for next turn Vicious Scalehide plus Dire Frenzy. That's how he pulls this one back, and therefore he is trying to preload a removal spell. I suppose you could look at this Strangledawn Tiger as it is just going to be trading into something, getting some stuff off the board, and it cannot be dealt with until that.
There is so much damage here.
Yes.
Hunter needs quick shot.
So many.
So, oh man.
options.
So this is really just about Hunterace. How do you make the best of a fantastic situation? Does he want to swing with Waggle Pick at all here is, I guess, the first question. Because obviously there's bad bounces that he could get back to his hand. He doesn't want to return the Dread Corsairs.
I am going in.
I think he probably will as well.
My opponent just did nothing. The SI7 agent has stuck to board
Yeah.
for 3 consecutive turns. That was your first
That's
minion.
true. That coin SI7 has got in an unbelievable amount.
So maybe you don't go in. You just keep compounding the board. You say you build it bigger and you build it bigger, and you say go ahead.
Because he's very easily, very easily got lethal on the next turn.
Whoa.
Now things get interesting though. Double Timberwolf plus the Unleash the Hounds.
Okay, so we have something happening here then.
You'd only be able to get 4 of them if you went double Timberwolf because of board space issues. So after the trade, that would be
What to do?
what, 9 plus the 7, 16 damage you can launch face. So obviously nowhere near lethal yet. But obviously, in terms of keeping you alive, it becomes a lot more important.
Yeah, it's like, so if you go with Vicious Scalehide and Dire Frenzy, you get to clear off 3/3 taunt, you get to clear off 4/5. And then on the backswing, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's just too much damage
It's
represented.
gotta be
There's
Unleashed
11
Hounds.
damage and you're at 17. So I think you have to go for a bigger clear.
I like this as well. You can go for the Unleash the Hounds first, trade the Tiger, trade one of the Wolves, then go for the double Timberwolf afterwards.
Now.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh.
Okay. Yeah. I'm happy with this. Gets nigh on a full board clear.
That is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And
Very
you
nice.
strain your opponent with Witchy Lackey, the one that evolves, one of the worst ones.
How much damage are we looking at here? I mean, on both sides, how much damage are we looking at here? If you trade the Witchy Lackey in, Leroy hit face, Waggle Pick to get it back to hand. Obviously, you're setting up lethal for the next turn, but your opponent has a goodly amount of damage then.
I mean, Orange is like thoroughly dead if you trade a Timberwolf, Leroy face, and then return the Leroy to your hand. Even in the face of double kill command, Orange is only going to have
What's that?
6,
9,
7, 8, 9,
19.
10,
There's
11,
nothing
21
that kills
damage.
you. Yep, there's nothing that kills you. And then in that case, if you have no minions in play, he cannot heal.
Exactly.
Because Vicious Scalehide only has Rush, so it cannot rush in when there's nothing on the board to attack into. No other lifesteal in the deck. He has to hit a taunt.
Well, there's also a
Even
life
then, he's
trigger
just
there.
dead. Even
Yeah.
then, he's just dead.
He's dead.
And again, we're seeing Hunterace's expected way of playing this rogue deck, I suppose, where he just gets a lot of damage very aggressively.
Just punch.
Yep.
That SI7 agent dealt like 9 damage.
Who to shoot?
That's true. The significance of that coin SI7 agent was huge.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of damage.
Yeah. It was just punch, as I believe you put it. All right, how much are we looking at here? 5, 9, 16. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. It's not quite enough a lot of damage, though.
You're dead, so.
Masterful.
Orange scoops up game number 1, so Hunterace off to a 1-0 lead, and that means players are going to have to look to their secondary and tertiary decks to find out how they're going to best battle against it. We are in specialist format here, which means that your secondary and tertiary decks can be up to 5 cards different from your initial deck that you're forced to play in game number 1. So for Orange, I look at the Life Drinkers, the Witchwood Grizzlies, Snake Trap, and Revenge of the Wild in his tertiary deck, where he removes a bunch of big clunky cards against Rogue and perhaps is able to find more swing turns and more pressure as a result of that.
I fully agree. I think that's definitely the way that he will go. Like you said, the healing, the taunt, that was really what he was lacking in that game, I think it's fair to say. And the Zul'jin and the Unleash the Beast that he takes out, like you said, a little bit too clunky to be going for against Rogue. For Hunterace, however, I think his options are a little bit more limited. He will probably stick to his primary deck, I believe, because the secondary deck, big stuff for against Warrior, and the tertiary deck, removal for against Mage, is generally what we're looking at. There's some consideration for if, you know, your opponent's going for the anti-aggro options, you could go for the more control-y options because they have taken out Zul'jin, so they are unable to go into the late game. So the rogue could then put in the Heist Baron Togwaggle and the Chef Nomi to take it into the late game. However, I anticipate we will see Hunterace sticking with his primary nonetheless.
I think a little bit of decision-making as the players get ready for game number 2. We're going to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to find out if Orange can answer back or if Hunterace is going to roll on to a 2-0 start in Grandmasters.
Now the cards show me a tinker, so clever, but kind of a stinker. In a storm that's a raging, sits the last one I'm paging, a truly unusual thinker. All bots are now gonna go boom, but still, you shouldn't assume that I've made this selection on my own direction.
No, indeed, let's be clear. I have brought you all here, and now you're all in. It is time to begin.
My name is Eddie Liu, formerly Sehun628. Now it's just Eddie plain. My last year I had a pretty successful year, especially since I only played this game for 2 years. I won DreamHack Atlanta. It's only a tour stall, but it meant a lot to me, especially since I was grinding really hard for a win. When I first knew that, I received the email that I got into Grandmaster, I was really excited. I checked my email at 10:30 and I was hyped. I was like, oh my god, is this actually real? I think I'm a very consistent player. I think the X factor for myself is that I hate playing aggro decks, I would say. I'm a very control/anti-control player. I rather outgrind my opponent in resources. I constantly judge myself, oh, is this right? Is what I'm doing correct? And it means a lot. It means a lot to me that if other people are agreeing what I do and what I think. At this point, I just want to make Worlds. I had a pretty good record in Tour Stop. I think I was at least top 10, if not top 5. I think I was lucky. I think this group is the easier group, and I think I have a good chance getting out of groups.
Artist formerly known as Sohyun, now known as Eddie, is going to be playing in Americas later on, and he's going to be faced up against StrifeCrow in his match later for the Americas region, and he had some strong words about StrifeCrow, which you're going to have to tune in then to see if you're curious about it. But we're getting into game number 2 right now. Hunterace up a game over Orange, where Orange has swapped over to the tertiary deck. Hunterace is going to stay on the main one there. So same deck as he had in game 1. Orange is removing Deadly Shot, Stranglethorn Tiger, 2 Unleash the Beast, and Zul'jin. He's adding in its place Snake Trap, 2 Life Drinker, Witchwood Grizzly, and Revenge of the Wild, 2-cost card that returns to play all your beasts that die this turn.
Yeah, all the other cards there that he's slotting in seem fairly self-explanatory. The Snake Trap is obviously a wide board, which Rogue struggles to deal with. Life Drinkers is health, Grizzly is taunt. But the Revenge of the Wild, I guess, is just a little bit of extra resurrection on perhaps your Vicious Scale Hides for more healing. Obviously, Unleash the Hounds is a big one for just extra removal on all their boards. It's not an obvious anti-rogue card, but I'm very interested to see how it works out for Orange, given that that is clearly his anti-rogue strategy in Specialist.
Pretty rough looking hand for Hunterace, and not on coin. Orange, on the other hand, has some pretty cool stuff to work with here. Shimmerfly, Animal Companion, and Life Drinker.
Decent little curve.
Attack on a Deadly Shot. That was one of the things that was missing for Orange in game number 1 was just removal. If he had a kill command on the SI7 agent, and then followed that with a marked shot. Like, he would have actually been in pretty decent shape that game.
Yeah, to be honest, what I really need to do is just go away and play a lot of this Hunter deck, because a lot of my time preparing for this was with Mage, Warrior, and Rogue.
Well done.
Mainly with Rogue, I've got to be honest. I'm a bit of a degenerate on ladder. That's what I've been playing most of. But for this Hunter deck, I need to see what is it trying to do? What is the best case scenario for this Hunter deck, and why has it clearly been missing that game after game? Because it's just been looking very clunky for most of the time, hasn't been curving especially well, and, you know, I'm certain that these players have tested this deck enough, realized that they were favored in these matchups, or they wouldn't have bothered bringing it at all.
You hit 2 interesting points there. Number 1, it seemed kind of clunky. Number 2, it feels like it's just not getting the job done. So what that tells me is Unleash the Beast perhaps should not be the feature of the deck. And maybe you move more towards secrets to help on your turn 2s. I mean, your turn 2s have been so dead. So think about setting up a freezing trap versus a Conjurer Mage. Having Subject 9 to thin out your deck and provide some more gas towards the end of the game. A little bit more stuff to do as you fight to that tempo and then have an endgame plan.
And that has definitely been messed around with quite a lot. Subject 9 will eternally be an incredibly powerful card for Hunter while it is in Standard. It's just against, obviously, the slightly slower decks, the Warriors that you may be facing. In particular, the extra value feels pretty crucial.
Hunterace finds an important card with Myers Unstable Element, because this hand was looking awfully dead.
You could have just stopped at awful. The Lee dead was not really important there. It was looking awful.
Well, I like to flower up my words a bit.
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Fancy Man.
To shoot.
Trying to be a real boy now.
Why use many word when few word do trick?
This little piggy went to Dread Corsair.
Yep, I think he's pretty happy with that option. Obviously, Misha potentially value traded, but then you run into the counterplay from Rogue.
This is just a funny set of turns for me here.
Explain.
Often matched by Life Drinker.
Kind of the know you style of Hearthstone.
I could see Orange going for a Rat Trap setup in this spot as well, like a Deadly Shot into Coin Rat Trap.
Ooh, Deadly Shot. Okay. I mean, I guess Deadly Shot against Rogue is very often bad.
Yeah.
As soon as they hit Evil Miscreant, it does a whole lot of nothing.
I mean, it's taken one out already. You just kill a thing, set up a Rat Trap, and then you started limiting Hunterace. But one of the things that Orange could be considering is, when is the Rat Trap most effective? And it's probably most effective when you actually need to restrict the amount of stuff Hunterace is doing. He's not doing a lot of stuff. So as soon as you're going to get a threat online, that to me is one of the ideal turns to get a Rat Trap set up. But you could set up preemptively as well.
Interestingly enough, because Hunterace has clearly not hit the cards he wants to at the start of the game. He's gone Dread Corsair into Life Drinker. That's not a very good curve for Rogue. So your opponent either has a miserable hand, in which case you're winning anyway, or they have a Myra's hand to fill things up, in which case Rat Trap is very good against Myra's.
Or they have an Edwin hand, and they're saving for a big burst turn.
Either way, whatever
one key card unlocks it. Like,
whatever they're doing to pull back into this game, Rat Trap is strong against that.
Right between the eyes.
Let's come to the same conclusion. I think the consideration there was the Deadly Shot. The Rat Trap felt like just a good turn to get it down, and I think I agree with him here that it's very possibly, if that card is found, going to be very weak coming forward.
And look, if Hunterace is going to prep and then use Evil Miscreant, Rat Trap starts to become active. Now, the benefit that Hunterace has is he has Sap in hand. So he gets to prep, play Miscreant, activate the secret, and then sap a 6-mana 6/6 back to hand.
He does, however, not know for certain that it's a Rat Trap. Could be a Snake Trap, as one has been substituted in by Orange. So off of, you know, raw mathematical probability, it is more likely to be the Rat Trap, as there are 2 in the deck and only 1 Snake Trap.
Hey, if it's Snake Trap, even better. You don't have to do anything.
Right, exactly. So I guess he has a backup plan for either way.
Whoa!
Unless, of course, he just wants to launch Leroy at the face.
Whoa!
So he...
Oh, no, I know what he's doing here. He's pretending... What? No, he's actually playing it! What the heck?
And he's still on his primary deck, right? He doesn't have the Heist Baron, the Nomi.
And he knows that it's not Snake
Myra's
Trap
up.
now. He knows it's Rat Trap now.
Well, no, because it's attacking. Oh, because he
attacked a minion.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're correct.
What on earth was this?
And I mean, well, for Orange, you've got a very nice, easy baited arrow here to take down the Leroy.
Guaranteed Orange is confused right now and is going, what does this mean? And so he's going to try to think through every single situation and eventually land on baited arrow.
Yeah.
But you need to spend the time thinking about what hand does Hunterace have if he's willing to make this play.
I mean, it's very clearly, I mean, I would think if your opponent does this, this makes you more and more suspect, more and more likely to think he has Myra's in hand. He's just playing stuff out of his hand now, right?
I really dislike this. And the reason I dislike it is because now Hunterace is under Rat Trap, and how does he ever get out of it? If on the previous turn he preps and plays Evil Miscreant and plays a Lackey, he gets to sap a 6/6 and he's clear for the rest of the game. Now he's in desperate mode. I think this was a big misstep. And a rare misstep at that.
It also means that on this turn, if he goes prep Myra's, he can't then go Edwin plus Sap on the same turn.
Granted, there's no way for Hunterace to know that baited arrow is off of the Shimmerfly. His goal is to try to pressure...
But that's not the point. There's so many ways that the Leroy dies there. It's, you know, Springport on its own kills it, Marked Shot kills it. There's a whole bunch of stuff that gets rid of it.
I think those are okay because he gets to then have the Miscreant turn and be in the same situation.
That's true.
I just don't get why you would even risk that happening to begin with. I feel like that was just the mark there. If your opponent got the one outcome from Shimmerfly, you could be done.
I'm still on the fence. I see the reasoning for both lines of play here. Like the rest of his turn, actually the Miscreant was reasonably powerful. I guess he's just thinking that he needs to close out the game as quick as possible or he's going to fall behind.
It's definitely possible as well. I just feel like having a Leroy in your hand after Myra's means that your Shadow Steps do that.
To shoot.
And now, with the rest of his deck looking very light indeed, this Myra's is going to have to hit some good cards. And with, I believe, double Raiding Party still in the deck, that's really not what you're looking for. All the Pirates are not really what you're looking for either. He wants to be hitting Spirit of the Shark, obviously the Miscreant left in his deck.
To shoot.
Life Drinkers. I mean, there's just not much good stuff left.
Damage.
Anything that kills.
Waggle picks are still fine.
Now.
For Orange here, I do believe that Revenge of the Wild is very on his mind. 2 mana, 5/5.
So far he's played with 2 mana 6/6, a 2 mana 5/5.
Look at Hunterace.
Working his way down.
Did you see his reaction to it?
I did not.
It was not happy.
That is oft his reaction to things. Unhappiness.
When they're bad for you anyway.
Yeah, sometimes other times as
Yeah,
well.
true.
He's in a very he is a very, very emotional player. And you can see it as well. It's not like Viper, who will feel the stress but is often very reserved. Hunterace, you can see him freaking out a lot of the time.
Does he have to just contain the board here and then go for Myra's, or does you rip the damage to face and rip the Myra's? I feel like since you just got so disrupted and your opponent got so much tempo, you have to pay respect to the board.
So you clear it first and then go for Myra's next turn.
I think there's a chance that you go for like Lackey trade the Miscreant Myra's. Yeah, but I don't think you have that liberty right now. I think this is just superior.
I mean, you know, with Prep still in the deck and Edwin, very importantly, being able to go Myra's on 8 mana allows you to go for a big Edwin turn, possibly on the same turn with all the 0 mana cards that you have thrown in there as well.
Job done. Expending life as well, keeping the Miscreant healthy. And a kill command picked up with Double Unleash and Timberwolf.
So we could see...
I'm smelling blood.
12 damage just launched at the face.
Oh, yeah.
And then for Hunterace, if he doesn't answer, he's just dead. Orange knows this, and he is going for the throat.
No Phantom Knives in the deck for Hunterace. And I think this is probably checkmate. Well, I take that back. There's a Myra's in hand. Excuse me. It's never checkmate.
Miracles can happen. So these
Shadow Step.
These Shadow Steps do kill a lot of stuff with the Kobold Lackeys that you have in play.
Prep. Nothing to prep out.
Ugh, yeah, this was, I guess, a reasonable Myra's Unstable Element. He can clear a fair amount of the board, but I question whether it'll be enough.
You have to kill the board and deliver counter pressure. To me, I'm looking a lot at life drinkers to be able to pull some of this back and give him perhaps that one extra turn he may need to clear something. So you prep to make hand space for the Lackey.
I agree. And then I guess you're just looking for Goblin Lackey, Kobold Lackey, I guess Ethereal as well.
Spell?
Just, yeah,
I mean, you discover Phantom Knives. Put you into fatigue, but...
Oh, you just got to clear. He could still hit Blade Flurry as well, which with the prep...
Flurry.
He doesn't get any of the AoE he was looking for.
Wanted helps clear a little bit. Because you have a prep active right now, you can Wanted Coin, use the... He's got to do something, though. Rope's burning. It's halfway done.
Right now.
So he says, I'm going to need more damage.
Yep. He tries to just clear everything that he can, and then on the backswing for Orange. Did he even get the attack in?
1, 2, 3. That's game. That's lethal.
That's just going to end it.
Orange picks up a game and sends Hunterace to game 3, wondering what went wrong in this one. He lost tempo and then couldn't gain control. Orange puts a game on the board, his first game here in Grandmasters now, and is looking to keep that streak going where he is in tournament play undefeated versus Hunterace in match score.
I believe you are correct. Their friendly rivalry, despite Hunterace having the superior year overall, I think we can both agree, head-to-head, Orange tends to be coming out on top. But it's not going to be looking much better for Hunterace going into that third game, because Orange, even though he found the victory there, he didn't really find many of his tech cards along the way. The Life Drinkers, only one of which was played. The Witchwood Grizzly, if that had been found any point along the way there, would have been huge. That would have had like 8-9 health at pretty much any point before the Myra's was played.
And Revenge of the Wild coming in big in that one. Restored a 5/5 after it trades over a minion. It's pretty rare you get a situation like that, but when it comes up, it pays off big time. And so the tertiary deck for Orange coming in big in this one. And so Hunterace going back to the drawing board and thinking about his other decks as we move into game number 3. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, the conclusion to our featured match of the day.
So you're probably wondering why I gathered you here. Let me take a moment and break it down. We've been given black eyes by the good guys. Oh, but that's about to change. Those meddlesome mortals who've mocked up our missions will finally feel some of our pain. You see, I have a devious plan that requires a demonstrative fist, and each of you will have your dreams come true as a fiendish finger of peace.
What?
All right, let me try this again. Alone all our dreams went.
Kaboom!
Yes, but united we'll take
the candle.
no fish bigger.
I'm seeing what you want to do.
Let me hit it.
We'll come together so we can dismantle.
Now here's the plot to capture your greed and intrigue. We'll take Dalaran for all that it's got. As we form an evil league.
It's Hearthstone Grandmasters for the European region, and we have a 1-1 score between Orange and Hunterace. Hunterace, our reigning world champion, looking to notch himself a 2-0 match record at the start of Grandmasters. Orange looking not only for his first match win, but to keep his streak alive versus Hunterace and being undefeated in competitive matches, and also to put our first Hunter match win on the board. A lot on this one for such an early match in Grandmasters.
There really is. For Orange, his favorite class, his kind of signature class throughout all his Hearthstone play has been Hunter. He absolutely adores the class, and its honor is very much on the line here with both him and his practice partner, Ball Control, so far unable to take a series with it. Picking up a couple of games today, which bodes better for them, but either way, all comes down to this one final game to cinch the series.
And there's the snake trap in the opening hand for Orange, which honestly, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. When you're going first, you get to play a minion and then set a snake trap. If Hunterace had not coined a dagger, which is quite rare when you have coin, you need coin for raiding party and for evil miscreant. It means the snake trap allows you to start pressuring and have a payoff when Hunterace attempts to attack your board back.
I like it a lot. Picks up the spring paw. This is looking very nice.
This hand is gas!
This is more like it.
Holy
this is what we've been missing
smokes!
out on.
The secrets, I'm putting them in the main. I'm doing it. I'm going to figure out a way to get Snake Trap and Freezing Trap in this deck.
Okay. You putting in
Getting rid,
9?
I'm getting rid of these Unleash the Beasts.
What to do?
Probably.
Hey, Orange took them out for game number 2 and he won.
It's interesting. Well, that's the thing. He won against Rogue, right, which was not the majority of the field. If you knew that the majority was going to be Rogues, I'm on board with you. You take out the top end and you put in the anti-aggro cards. Up against the general field of Bomb Warrior, what's a Snake Trap doing? It's fine. It's decent, but it's not a tech card for the matchup.
Against Warrior, you just have a vastly different game plan altogether, though.
Yes, which revolves around Zul'jin.
And Tundra Rhino at times.
Yes. Well, Dire Frenzy and the recasting of Dire Frenzy through Zul'jin. I agree.
So, no, the Snake Traps are not doing well in that matchup. But I digress.
Wildly. This is pretty sick.
Orange's hand is the juice.
Even, like, would you Dire Frenzy a snake?
No, I'm just going to Master's Call, and I'm going to Dire Frenzy a
Master's
Vicious
Call
Scale
again.
Hide.
Yeah, I mean, that takes an extra turn. Like, Dire Frenzy, oftentimes you just use it as kind of a weaker Blessing of Kings, right? Where you're just playing it to get it down.
True story.
But especially because you want to play Dire Frenzy, ideally, before Master's Call, at least before the second one, so that you can redraw the powerhouse of the buffed up minion.
And the distribution here of it's either Rat Trap or it's Snake Trap, both times biting Hunterace in this situation.
That's
where
true.
He goes for the attack and play to try to set up a big miscreant turn, take advantage of the snakes. Can't do it. It's Rat Trap. This time, hoping it's Rat Trap, it's Snake Trap instead.
Well, last time if it was Snake Trap, his Leroy would have just died right on board. So it wasn't great for him if it was Snake Trap last time.
It was worse as Rat Trap, though. Oh my. Orange's hand is so good.
This is, as I believe you HCT casters were fond of saying, Damahe.
It's a lot of that.
What to do?
Orange,
How does he sequence this out then? What are we looking at on this turn?
I think he's really considering just moving in for damage. I mean, he secures 6 damage immediately and would have 5 minions in play. But I feel like Master's Call is primed here. Like, you have a Timberwolf already. You would wait on the Timberwolf and get the right situation.
I agree. I think that Timberwolf will be likely very good for all of this game.
And Hunterace's hand is not coming together. He has not found a single card to combo with.
I mean, yeah, we've been focusing on Orange's hand for the whole of this game, to be honest, because Hunterace hasn't really had much to do. Coin Spirit of the Shark here is generally a decent turn when you're falling behind to try and catch up, if you have Evil Miscreant, or as some players are taking in, the Evil Cable Rat as well.
I think now it's just decent with the Life Drinker even. Like, you have to focus on how to stay alive.
It's fine. Obviously, that's a way to get a Battlecry active. Is it then worth a coin? Is it worth coining Spirit of the Shark to curve into Life Drinker for the double heal?
I don't know.
It's not great, right? It's not. It doesn't pull you back into the game.
Gives you 6 extra life to work with, though. I could see just hitting a minion and daggering again as well. I mean, it's situations like these that are going to separate winning and losing players with Rogue, though. Like, you're not always going to have your ideal hand. How do you make a win when your hand is below average? You know, the Spirit of the Shark will, in some capacity, represent 3 extra health down the road. The Life Drinker with the Spirit of the Shark represents 6 extra health. The Waggle Pick being down represents some tempo advantage here. I like this setup from Hunterace because he knows that there's no weapon destruction in Orange's deck.
Right, yeah, there's a couple of benefits to this play. Primarily, as you mentioned, the no weapon destruction in a beast-only deck. The secondary thing being all the big threats that could come down here. Like, If Dire Frenzy were to be played, because it's the highest tempo play, you got that checked. You just smack it with the waggle pick. It's a lot of damage, of course, but you can remove the board, which is what you need to focus on doing. Life Drinker is checked. The only thing you're really afraid of is if he goes super wide on board with a bunch of 1-drops, which he can do.
He's gonna do.
He's gonna do exactly that. This is fantastic play from Orange. I think the biggest weakness from Rogue at the moment is exactly a lack of ability to deal with wide boards.
If you don't have Fan of Knives, you're gonna find yourself in this trouble.
And that hold of the Timberwolf as well means he can get a lot of damage here. Hunterace on the back foot with his Rogue. Hunter looking to get the first win of Grandmasters.
Hunterace right now has 27 damage if he has the time to use Leroy. Both swings of the Waggle Pick and Eviscerate Life Drinker. 27.
That's one of the largest ifs I've ever heard in my life. That's a lot of time, which he does not have.
It would take 3 turns, and no, he does not have that much time.
He definitely does not have 3 turns. I mean, like, you know, bouncing back the Life Drinker obviously lessens the amount of damage that he can deal, but it also gets him a little bit of extra health, survivability, which is crucial.
You know, I look at this though, and he with the Spear of the Shark and the Life Drinker, he may be able to find that much time, because you would play the Spear of the Shark now, you'd hit face for 4, and then you're following up with Life Drinker and an attack of the Waggle Pick again. He wants to mitigate though. He says that's going to result in too much damage, and so I have to try to absorb now. And honestly, this plays towards that plan of trying to unlock the Leroy in the 3 additional turns.
Yeah. This isn't nice. This is really not what Hunterace wanted to go for at all. But like you said, you've got to try and find those scrappy victories with Rogue when you don't hit the perfect hands. And I can understand not going for Spirit of the Shark. It's effectively passing the turn and giving yourself... It's effectively gaining 3 health next turn because you get a double activation of the Life Drinker, which doesn't feel worth it.
And just can he cede that much time over to Orange? Because you're going to take heaps if that happens.
You are, absolutely. And so how does Orange maximize his damage? Timberwolf is probably the card that he would most like to have in his deck, Dire Frenzied, but obviously the buff would not be able to attack straight away were he to do that.
That's, I think, largely irrelevant right now.
It makes it nigh on impossible for Hunterace to go for a board control route, but I guess that's been closed off for a while. And I think from Orange here, this is actually quite a mature play he's making here, where obviously the first port of call you're looking at on that turn is Timberwolf, Dire Frenzy, launch everything face. Orange here is realizing Hunterace is never getting back board control. The only way that he wins is by going for burst to face, so let's get these Life Drinkers played.
Okay.
To close that out.
We just got a Life Drinker that can be bounced back from Waggle Pick, and we have Spirit of the Shark, which would make the Life Drinker at 2 mana. So we're looking at 9 extra health for Hunterace over 2 turns with Life Drinker.
Okay.
How can he sustain through this pressure?
So how does he sequence that then? We could obviously see... Oh, so we'd have to go Life Drinker this turn and then, yeah, Spirit of the Shark, Life Drinker next turn. Okay. He's obviously got Prep of this he can throw in there as well on this turn, which he probably will. I mean, unless he wants to save that for just damage through to face. Oh. If Hunterace can wrestle this one back, it would be unbelievable.
That would be remarkable.
But I mean, really, so far this game has just been showing the power of correct teching in Specialist. When switching over to his tertiary deck here for Orange, the Snake Trap alone basically won him this game. Right off the bat. Hunterace had no way to fight.
If he does win this game, I would very much attribute this to Snake Trap being one of the key players.
Yep, absolutely. A fantastic tech decision by him. And it's you know, it's not one of the most obvious anti-rogue cards right out the bat.
So now I have a question for ye, which is the potential of loading up 2 Vicious Scale Hides this turn in hero powering. It gives you an opportunity to land a Dire Frenzy on a Scale Hide in the event they're not checked. You've seen Hunterace use an Eviscerate, you've seen him use a Backstab, and you've seen him use a Waggle Pick, and you know that he has a Life Drinker in hand.
I like that. I like the thought of getting Scale Hides in play. How you achieve that, I think, is maybe where we could improve the play. Vicious Scalehide plus Dire Frenzy allows you to go Master's Call into Vicious Scalehide next turn. You have the mana to play the buffed up one immediately.
We can also just go for more Timberwolves and 1-drops.
I guess this was to find exactly Witchwood Grizzly to try and throw down on the following turn to lock out the game, which, okay, that makes sense.
I think
winning
Timberwolf
there.
for pressure as well. Because now the attack is split. Hunterace wants to handle the Timberwolf and wants to handle the Scalehide. So I think that when you Master's Call and you get the Timberwolf here, it's clearly your priority target.
Okay, yeah. And I guess the chance of your opponent actually being able to kill off the Scalehide this turn is very low, and therefore you should be able to hit the buff on it with the...
Yeah, do you need to use 2 of them? Okay. And if Hunterace can clear both of them, now your Scalehides are just gone entirely.
I can get on board with this. It leads to a weaker turn this turn, obviously, because you're not putting the most amount of stats on board possible, but it gives you so many more options the following turn, which I think is where he will have more information about what direction he needs to take this game.
Hunterace's hand has not come together at all. He is still yet to find a card to combo fully together.
And therefore, what's the play?
I wonder.
Like, Spirit of the Shark Life Drinker doesn't get there. If we see Spirit of the Shark this turn, Life Drinker Leroy is 12 damage next turn.
Well played.
Which does not win.
And Hunterace believes he's been bested immediately.
I mean, how much damage are we looking at here?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? No, 9 is max. But I think 9's enough to do it.
Yeah, I don't think you can quite get the win here, but like you said, the lifesteal on the Vicious Scalehide really does just close this.
It just puts Hunterace so far out of reach of achieving victory that Hunter, because it has such a substantial lead, is free to lean on just an attrition war at that point.
And I have to say, if Orange does end up taking this, I am quite surprised that the first win for Hunter here in Grandmasters was against Rogue. I would not attribute this to be the strongest matchup for Hunter, not why you bring it to Grandmasters in a specialist format. But with the power of Tex in your tertiary deck, clearly working very favorably for Orange.
Now.
Orange thinking about every little possibility.
Yeah.
Says
things possible.
More minions, even if it's just 2.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was wondering about like board space, if it leads to a situation where you can't play Grizzly if you play the Snake Trap as well, but I don't think that ever really becomes a factor. And so now, Life Drinker for 2 effects, SI7 Agent for 2 more, that's 10 burst damage.
Just so far out of reach.
And then sap the Scalehide, which would then become a regular 1/3 Scalehide again.
It's true. True story.
Nah. It's just all too much. It's just too much health that Orange has. He's
so Shadow Step.
So far out of range.
Hang on a second. So Life Drinker, SI7 Agent. That's up to 10 burst. If you drew Shadow Step, that's 12 more. So you still need 5 damage after that. My gosh.
And obviously, Orange can just go Witchwood Grizzly or Vicious Scalehide or whatever else he wants.
Because the sap gets expended.
Hunterace giving it absolutely everything he can.
Kill command off the top. With Unleash the Hounds in hand, it doesn't matter how Orange slices that one. He is the one with Hunter and the ace up his sleeve. And takes his first victory here in Grandmasters and keeps the streak alive, undefeated versus Hunterace in competitive match play.
Looking very strong there as well. That switch over to his tertiary deck, the difference was just night and day between the primary and that rogue teched tertiary deck. With the extra heal, the extra taunt thrown in there as well. Hunterace really didn't get the best hands. He didn't find himself with the Evil Miscreant to get early board control, or too many of the Waggle Pick explosive turns with Dread Corsair as well. He really had to go for just Leroy burst routes in most of those games, and as we can clearly see, Hunterace had those possibilities checked with healing up every turn. And it's also worth saying as well, taking conservative lines, not going too aggressive, making sure he healed every turn, I think was a really great way to just lock out any chance for Hunterace.
And it sounds like we have Orange ready for an interview here. Orange, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
What up? Congratulations on your win today. You hit a lot of storyline points here. Number one, I want to point out your competitive win streak versus Hunterace stays alive in this one. Hunter being your favorite class. It's your first win now in Grandmasters this weekend in the opening week, and you put Hunter's first match win on the board. Talk to me about this Hunter deck, how you prepared for it, and just walk me through your preparation altogether.
Well, it's kind of ironic, right? Because we brought the Hunter deck because we expected a lot of the field to be Bomb Warrior, and we didn't want to face Rogue, and that's the only win we got this weekend. So mostly, like, I was facing Casey and Casper this week, and both of them were gonna prepare against me that was like likely to bring Rogue. That was what was expected of me. So we decided that then the natural course of action for them would be to probably go Bomb Warrior, which also made sense against Jarl and Pavel, their other two opponents, which made me and Boar was in a similar situation too. So we decided that we go with Hunter to counter Bomb Warrior and Mage, but we also made sure that we had a territory deck for Rogue.
So Boar Control, as he often likes to do, has already called me an idiot for not representing Hunter properly on Twitter. I just want to know, though, you say it's brought to counter Bomb Warrior. What is the deck's ideal strategy against Bomb Warrior? What is it trying to do? Because it really just hasn't looked that powerful, and I'm interested to see what the thinking is to counter Bomb Warrior with this Hunter.
Well, so the idea is that they're not a very aggressive deck, although that's how it played out in both me and Boar series. So the plan is that you go to the mid game, and their plan is to kill you with bombs, right? So you scale hide Dire Friends it, and then you have like multiple scale hides. So whenever you get hit by a bomb, you just heal back up again, etc. And then you just have too much value between Unleash the Beasts and Soul Gems, etc. But yeah, well, the plan is to not be dead by turn 8, and then you're usually pretty good, but that's not how the games went for us. So.
And kind of moving forward here in Grandmasters, we've seen Mage have just an incredible performance throughout all the regions, it seems like. Where do you see the metagame headed from here, and what do you think is going to be the strategy? Are people going to be going to the best deck, or do you think there's going to be a lot more counter play that tries to be developed?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but I think that Mage was definitely underrepresented this week. Like, both me and Boar thought it was... I think I speak for the both of us when they say that Mage is like the go-to best deck. But considering our opponents, we decided to go with Hunter instead. I think that it's going to pick up popularity, but it's also going to be like one of those decks that everyone knows that it's going to pick up popularity, so people are going to try to counter it. I'm not entirely sure where I think the meta is going to go in the next few weeks, but I'm pretty interested to see how it plays out. I have a few ideas of my own as well.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations on your win here, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah, thanks.
That's one thing you can always say about Orange. He always has a lot of ideas, an incredibly creative Hearthstone player.
Yeah, he's often, when I've spoken with him, he's expressed to me that that's one of the most important facets of the game for him, is to be able to express that creativity in a competitive environment. You can't always do that. Sometimes strategies are just very powerful, and they make sense to bring. And I think here in Specialist, he is going to be able to flex that a little bit more with a pretty long career of competitive card gaming under his belt.
And so with Hunter now finally picking up a win here in Grandmasters, I hope it's not the last we see of it, however, because it definitely felt like it underrepresented for what it was trying to do. I trust that Boar Control and Orange have tested against Bomb Warrior a tremendous amount. That's why they brought it. They're very, very analytical players, and they will know the stats on how it matches up. So hopefully, as the weeks progress, more players are tinkering around with Hunter. Maybe they can put a little bit of a different spin on it to bolster that matchup a little bit. Or maybe players will stop curving out with all the bomb cards into Blastmaster Boom every game. Who knows?
It might still happen. It might go the other way. There's a time and a place, I think, for just about every single situation when it comes to Hearthstone. So that's our match of the day in the books. We got 3 more matches coming up, though, and we're going to find out if Casey can curve out with that Bomb Warrior yet again. And he's taking on Pavel in our 4th series of the day. Don't go anywhere.